welcome. My name is Nick. I'm the in charge. Can everyone please introduce themselves? Hi, Rhonda Faith. Hi, Eileen. Mawa, welcome. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign positions right now. Does anyone have a preference? No? Okay. So, Rhonda Faith, I'm going to put you at R1. Okay. Eileen, I'm going to put you at L2. And Mawa, I'm going to put you at R2. Everyone okay with those positions? Excellent. Does everyone have their flight attendant manual with you? Yes. Does everyone have their RAPE, which is your security pass with you? Yes. Okay, and your passport. Even though we're probably not going anywhere where you'll need it, we always need to travel with our passport. Everyone has their passport? Excellent. Okay, so now let's talk about arming and disarming responsibilities. Rhonda Faith, you are responsible for arming and disarming the door R1. Eileen, you're responsible for arming and disarming door L2. And Maui, your responsibility is for arming and disarming door R2. Okay, are we clear with that? So once I do the arming and disarming, I'm going to make an all call and I'm going to make sure that everyone has armed their doors. I'm going to start at the front, I'm going to work in a U and work up the other side. All right, are we clear on the arming and disarming procedures? Excellent. Now for your demo positions, okay, R1, Rhonda Faith, you are going to be at row 1. L2, Eileen, you're going to be at row 11. And Mawa, you are going to be at row 21. Okay, this is a 737-800 is what we're actually going to be flying. So, the L2, let's see, Eileen, you're going to be responsible to brief the overwing window exits, okay? Remember how and when to open the exits. And also, please, I'm going to tell you about any special attention passengers that we do have. I'd like to call them SPATs for short, but we never want to use that term in front of our passengers for customer service reasons. So any special attention passengers, whether we have people that require wheelchairs or whether we have any infants on board, in order to see if any briefing is required. All right, so our flight number today is Air Seneca Flight 460. The FIN number on our aircraft is 246. Our route, we're going from Toronto to Vancouver. Our captain today is Captain Ian Frost. Our first officer is Helen Smith. Our passenger load, we have 116 plus 1. That means 116 passengers and 1 infant on board. For our special attention passengers, that infant is with Ms. Johnson and she is in row 26A, so just make sure that she's offered the infant briefing. And we have one customer that requires a wheelchair, Mr. Murray, and they're seated in 18C or 18 Charlie. Okay, so make sure that we're there during boarding to assist them to their seat if they require any assistance. Okay, so the flight time, it's going to be 5 hours and 25 minutes in the air, 5 minutes and 45 minutes from gate to gate. Our cruising altitude will be 37,000 feet. Now, I got all this information from the captain's briefing. The weather en route, it's going to be mainly smooth with light turbulence 30 minutes before landing. So if we're going to get a little bit of turbulence, just try to have everything done and everything secured approximately 30 minutes prior to landing because we know it's going to start getting a little bumpy. The weather at our destination is going to be sunny with moderate winds and it's going to be 26 degrees Celsius, so nothing like the snow that we're getting here. This aircraft, it's the first flight of the day, so make sure that you check all the emergency equipment around your area and the area that you will be working in, because just because you're seated in that area doesn't mean you'll be working in that area. So just check that equipment. If you find any equipment that's US, and when I say US, unserviceable, okay, please report it to me immediately so I can advise the captain and then I can inform maintenance as well. Are we clear on the unserviceable equipment? Excellent. Neither the captain or the first officer speak French, so all announcement will require translation. I speak French, so I will do all the French translation. However, if you see that I'm in the aisle and I'm busy speaking with the passenger, please do not hesitate to translate by picking up the PA and translating it for me. Is there anybody here that's French qualified? No? Okay, am I the only French one on the flight today? Okay, no worries. Okay, so if you do see me in the aisle and I'm serving something, if you want to come and take over for me for a second while I go and do the French announcements. The safety equipment checks. We want to do the pre-flight check on our doors. Okay, so the pre-flight check on our doors, make sure that the warning strap is not across when the door is disarmed. Okay, the slide is not attached, and we want to look at the pressure, okay, on the slide itself to make sure that the pressure gauge is in the green. If it's not in the green, that's one of our pre-flight check. Please let me know immediately so I can advise the flight deck so they can check the minimum equipment list, and therefore they can see if that aircraft is viable to go or not. Our refueling exit today is door R2. Okay, so what that means to you is that if R2 is our refueling exit, at any time we're refueling the aircraft, you make sure that that door is kept clear so no trucks or anything are within the vicinity of that door. And I also need someone to stay by that exit as well, just in case there's any issues with refueling. Once your safety checks are completed after the safety demonstration, what I'd like you to do is so you walk through the cabin, do your final safety checks, and take your seat immediately, because it may be a short taxi. I haven't gotten that information yet from the flight deck, and then that way we should be prepared before the takeoff, at the imminent takeoff. Emergency lights. The emergency lights, does anyone know where the emergency lights on this aircraft are? Yeah, okay, at L2. So who's seated at L2? Eileen, okay, so Eileen, you're seated at L2. If at any point we do have an evacuation, just remember prior to opening your door to turn on the emergency lights. Okay, they should come on automatically, but it's a nevertheless, we get up and we press the button anyway for the emergency light switch. Now, if we have a rapid decompression, okay, what do you think we want to do? What's the first thing we do? We see the mask drop. What do we do? Yeah, you put your mask on no matter where you are in the cabin. Grab your first available oxygen mask and secure yourself wherever you are. Okay? Now, once it is safe for us to remove the mask, what are your responsibilities? Round of Faith. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So pretty much what you do is you do a little walk around, okay? You check on your passengers. You check to see if anyone has been in the lavatory, okay? See if they require any assistance. And then once you get all that information and we all do our cabin checks, pass it on to me so then I can pass on a report to the actual flight deck. All right? See if there's any injuries, if we need to actually divert and go somewhere because of severe injuries. Let's talk about urgent communication. If we hear backup 2, what does that usually mean to someone? Never heard of that? Okay, so backup 2, okay, if we make a PA announcement, that means that we need backup or firefighting equipment to a fire situation. Okay, so we never use that emergency communication anywhere else. Okay, if you're having a problem with the passenger, you don't pick up the PA and say backup 2, because everyone's going to start bringing firefighting equipment and they're going to start bringing it to your actual position where you are. So if you say backup 2 aft lav left, backup 2 aft lav left, that's an indication to you, okay, that we have a fire in the lav on the left-hand side in the back. Okay, and here's the reason we use these code words, because if we pick up the PA and go fire at L2, fire at L2, do you think people are going to panic? Yes. Okay, so that's why we need to know what our communication is. So if there is an emergency or an incapacitated pilot, does anyone know what the announcement will be that we'll hear over the PA? Okay, it's going to be, would the in-charge flight attendant or in-charge call the flight deck? If you hear in-charge call the flight deck, I am supposed to put on my full uniform, get my prepared emergency landing cards, and head into the flight deck. What you are supposed to do is you're supposed to be on alert, okay, at the nearest interphone station, because you know I'm going to be coming out of that flight deck with some vital information that I need to pass on to you. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean an emergency landing. It could be some kind of urgent communication that I need to pass on to you in regards to the flight, because even though it's not an emergency evacuation, it could be an abnormal situation which doesn't require the preparation of the cabin with the prepared emergency landing cards. So if you hear that announcement, okay, just make sure that you are on high alert, okay, at an interphone station. If we have a level 4, which is an attempted intrusion of the flight deck, or a credible threat of a death or credible threat of death or display or use of a weapon, if we get that at any point during the flight from any of our passengers, that's a level 4 intrusion. Okay, what we call a level 4. What do we commence when we do have a level 3 or a level 4? Does anyone remember? Does anyone remember lockdown? Flight deck lockdown. Okay? Okay, so what flight deck lockdown is, okay, if there is no face-to-face communication, so that flight deck door does not open at any point during a flight deck lockdown. Okay, now in a level 3 and a level 4, once we commence flight deck lockdown, it's for the duration of the flight, so for the rest of the flight. So that flight deck door is not going to open for any reason whatsoever, because they consider this a very serious event, almost like a hijacking. So we want to also protect that flight deck during the level 4. So the flight deck door is not to be open, and there's no face-to-face communication with the flight deck. Anyway, we're going to communicate with them over the interphone. So now let's talk about customer service. What we'd like you to do is we'd like you a positive first impression. I see everyone has their uniform on. They never get a second chance to make a first impression. Okay? Always be smiling, eye contact, all the things that we need to do to make the customer feel welcome. Look for opportunities to use their customer names during boarding. Okay, so when you look at their boarding card and you see the passenger with the infant, say hello, how are you, and use their name, and that way they feel like a personal service. Same with the passenger that does require the wheelchair. And finally, look for opportunities to create magic. And when I say opportunities, if someone mentions it's their anniversary, let me know. I'd like an announcement and make them feel special as well. One last final thing I would like to say. If you have any issues with any of our passengers, if you feel that you can deal with it, great. By all means, deal with it, and then just tell me what happened afterwards. If you find that it's getting out of hand for you, come and get me. I will deal with it. All right? Does anyone have any questions? No? Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank you for your attention. Let's start doing our security checks, and let's have a great flight.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right?
12 minutes, 42 seconds.
Yeah.
A little bit long, okay, but I talked a little bit more about the emergency procedures. This is why what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you, talk to your flight attendants, what questions you're going to ask them so they can answer the questions right away, because if they don't, that's what's going to slow down your briefing. Okay, notice how didn't go into one section, just safety. You have to talk about communication, you have to talk about safety, and you have to talk about emergency procedures as well. So we talked all about that, and right at the end you have to wrap it up with something customer service wise. Okay, I gave a lot of good points here. I don't want to see the points that I used, okay, in your briefings. Okay, I'd like you to pick different safety procedures, okay, different emergency procedures, different communication procedures. Some of them are going to overlap, okay. I'm fine with that as long as I don't see two safety briefings that are identical. Are we okay with that? Does anyone have any questions on the briefing that I just did?